And so I just want to share with you that at the top of my schedule every day, I review the greatest errors of my life. I study those errors and I try to integrate the task list, the goal setting, the objectives of my strategic planning with these errors in mind. And I have them written, and I'm going to have to refer to them to say them right, and then I'll explain them in my own words. But the first one is this: make war on self-deception. I have spent years trying to understand my own lies. Where am I lying to myself? It's not the lies to someone else that concerns me. I try not to do that. I sincerely do. But where am I lying to myself? The truth is, the foundation of MECLABS was around understanding the choices we make. I didn't do it for marketing reasons. I did it for personal reasons. I wanted to understand my life because my life is defined by the choices I make about myself and the choices I make about others. And the truth is, wherever I am deceived, I make bad choices. You know something? It's not getting the math right. We can all do 4 minus 3 equals 1. But what if it's not really 4 or really 3? It's the quantification that's wrong. And that quantification is often distorted by my own self-deception. My greatest enemy is not my competitor. Your greatest enemy is not your competitor. The truth is, you've got to learn to manage what you don't know. And I'm trying every day to figure that out before it's too late. Next, I think, this is painful, but this is, I don't know, it brings me a sort of perverse joy when I read it each day. Start with the ego question. And the ego question, for me, is a code word. It means to ask myself at the beginning of a meeting or at the beginning of a project or in any important endeavor where decisions are being made or I'm communicating, what would I do if my ego wasn't involved? Now, I know the Desert Fathers, which is a group of monks that I won't get into the history of, but the Desert Fathers practiced something called nepsis. They looked at the motivation of their thoughts. And it's a great concept, and it actually connects to several other disciplines in Asia, in India in particular, and also in Japan. For me, I can cut through the technicalities of ancient practices and just ask myself a confrontational question that often leaves me shook. And that question again is this: what would I do if my ego wasn't involved? Brings me to the third point. It doesn't sound very profound. In fact, none of these do. They just feel profound to me. They feel profound to me because I've lived the consequences of not paying attention to them. This one is focus at all costs. I've known that. If you asked me when I was 20, I would say I'm focusing. But I was focused, highly focused, just on too many good things. Good is the enemy of best. And right is better than good. So I have learned that if I'm going to be truly productive, I have to take the trade-offs. I have to sacrifice those things that are getting in the way of best. That may be the most difficult thing a leader ever does. I'm still learning what it means. But I know that the operative 3 words in this principle is at all cost. I think, hearkening back to the first 2, I let ego convince me I could do more. And I let self-deception blind me to the truth that I could not. And so the consequences are painful. But let me move on. The fourth, densify your moments. What does this mean? Well, all I have is now. The only value in the past is when it influences my present tense behavior in a way that helps me achieve best. Dwelling on mistakes can be valuable when that reflection produces better behavior now. It is just the opposite when it produces guilt or it keeps me from being able to go forward. And at the same time, thinking about the future is only valuable when it's influencing present tense behavior. And more to the point, thinking about the future can be a sort of lethargic drug that keeps me from doing right now what I need to do right now. I share that with you because I think that I sometimes dwelt in the pleasant no man's land between what I'm doing today and what I will do. And in that pleasant no man's land, I was on the edge of disaster because I was not forcing myself forward with relentless action. We have a saying here among the leadership of MECLABS: we want to combine aggressive reflection with relentless action. I'm looking down because I'm going to take you to the fifth one. And it's different. It is connected to all four. As you see, they all interconnect. But it's amplify your X factor. Being good at 10 things will produce less than being best at one, if it's the right thing. And you are the average of your team. And as long as you are working on things that you're not best at, you're dragging the average of your team down. Only by focusing on what you're best at do you raise the average of your team. And if you raise the average of your team, you raise the quality of their output. I have done enough things well to blind me from doing what I do best and doing it with all of my might. So ultimately, the macro lesson is this: my past can make my now better, but only if I use these insights to keep from repeating a vicious cycle.